Welcome back, everybody. What is going on? Welcome back to the Coach Steve Show podcast. Today, of course, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl. Super Bowl has now come and gone. NFL season is over, done. We are going to have to wait 6-7 months before the NFL makes its return. There'll be plenty to talk about till then with free agencies, upcoming drafts, different moves, still head coaching jobs opening up or still open that have yet to be filled. Assistant coaches yet to be filled. So we got some quarterbacks that are still on the move. There'll be stuff to talk about, but we're going to talk about the Super Bowl, discuss the game. We'll discuss things that led to each offense and defensive plays and how each team, how the Rams pulled out the victory 23-20. We'll talk about all that. And then, yes, we might touch a little bit on the refs at the end of the game there. And then, is Sean McVeigh retiring? First I heard of it. So we're going to talk about all of that today on this episode of the Coach Steve Show. Please, if you're watching the video, please like the video. Please subscribe to the Coach Steve Show YouTube channel. We got to get the numbers up, the rookie numbers. We got to get them up. So please and thank you for anybody who has already subscribed. Please, if you haven't, just hit the like button and hit the subscribe for me. And this podcast can be found wherever you listen to your podcast, literally anywhere. So wherever you're listening to, please follow it and please rate it. It just helps out the podcast so much. And if you're feeling a little extra friendly, be a friend, tell a friend about the podcast. Thank you guys so much. Leave a comment in the comment sections of the review and the comment section of the YouTube channel if you're watching it. Please and thank you. This podcast is brought to you by the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network. If you head over to bellyupsports.com, check out all the stuff there. You got tons of blogs, tons of podcasts, and we're on TV. If you check out the website, it will tell you where to go. If you have a Roku, you go to Tiki Live. We are on TV. So go check all that out. Big things happening with the network. So again, there's stuff out there for people that's not about sports. So go check that out. bellyupsports.com. And this podcast is brought to you by Coach Stone Football and is Back to the Basics book series. So football coaches, we're getting into maybe your spring season. We're starting to plan for our summer, all that good stuff. So it's time to get back to the basics and get simple on drills. And Coach Stone has just that. He's done all the work for you. So if you go to CoachStoneFootball.com, he's got tons of books. His very first one is over 500 pages. And then he's just branched off and continues. He's got strength and conditioning, offense, defense, special teams, all that good stuff. So go to CoachStoneFootball.com. Back to the Basics book series. Thank you, Coach Stone, for sponsoring the podcast. Guys, go check it out. You'll never have to look up another drill again. Okay, Super Bowl has come and gone. Rams versus the young Bengals with Joe Burrow, who came in and his swag looking like the Tiger King, fresh out of prison is what he looked like, except way more suitable, I believe. But that's the vibe I got. Big time Super Bowl. You had tons of celebrities. You had fans. Before we dive into that, did anybody else wonder how these people afforded a ticket? Tickets were what, $3,000 at the least? My God. And there was 70,000 people, if not more. I can understand the richy rich that tell us what to do. The rich people tell everybody else what to do. Those people I understand. They could buy a ticket. They could literally, hey, here's my car. Just take my car, give me a ticket. And they have 15 other cars. But how did everybody afford a ticket? Is it really crypto? There was a ton of crypto commercials. Is that really how people afforded a ticket? My God, whatever these people do to be able to just drop $3,000 to $10,000 on Super Bowl tickets and then to fly out there to stay at a hotel, give me their job. My God. But anyway, so we had our Super Bowl. The Rams escaped with the victory, 23-20 over the Bengals. Overall, I thought it was a good Super Bowl. You didn't see a team get blown out. It was kind of a defensive game, but to me, would a defensive game be more of like a 7-6 game, like the old school, actually not that long ago, Ravens-Steelers type games? I believe those are defensive battles, or 10-7, 10-0, something like that. It was 23-20. I know some people, I was thinking it was going to get into the 30s just because the Rams and the weapons they have and who their quarterback is, and because the Bengals were getting up to the 30s on the Chiefs. And so I figured, okay, how I thought the game would go would be the Rams would score a decent amount in the first half, and then the Bengals being a second half team, and the decently good, I'll say they're good. The good defensive players they have that play as a team would figure it out, and then Joe Burrow figures it out in the second half, and they start to score. So I was rooting for the Bengals, and I really thought the Rams would do all their scoring in the first half. And then they would start to struggle a little bit in the second half because the Bengals would figure it out. And they would just be like, you know what, screw it, and go out and play and just leave it all, literally leave it all on the field. Don't hold anything back. Whatever type of defensive calls they've never made this year, they're going to make them. And offense, whatever, trickery calls they have on offense, now it's the time to do it. And that's what was going to happen. But a good game. I thought it was a really good Super Bowl. The commercials weren't the best that they have been, but there were still a lot of good commercials. They weren't too over the top. There's a lot of crypto stuff. There's a ton of crypto. Is that what we're going for? Is Bitcoin and Dogecoin, and that's the only ones I know. Pi, is that one of them? I don't know. But is that what we're going to? But I mean, overall, I thought it was a good game. No real complaints about the Super Bowl, except I was rooting for the Bengals. But I was also going to be happy for Matthew Stafford if the Rams won. But the Rams came away from a hard-fought win. Going to try to talk about offense, defense for the Bengals, offense, defense for the Rams. Some are going to intertwine and be repeated. But the Bengals, I thought their defense overall played well. I know in the first quarter and a little bit of the second quarter, so some of that first half, it was just some of the big plays that they were giving up. They would, the Rams would, so the Bengals, how they beat the Chiefs, they were dropping people back into coverage, and they were making Patrick Mahomes move out of the pocket, which he can make throws outside the pocket. But when you drop everybody and you're able to pressure him and you're able to play coverage, that could beat the Chiefs, and that's what the Bengals did. When you have, Odell Beckham and you have Cooper Kupp and, some running back weapons, they were dropped back into coverage, and Matthew Stafford was doing a decent job of hitting a wheel route from the running back, which then opens up other guys. When you start to take that away, it opens up something else behind it. So those are the type of things I saw the Rams start to take advantage of. And so I thought overall, besides some of the big plays that the Bengals were giving up, they were playing better. Their pressure was okay the first half, but then that third quarter, they really, that second quarter and third quarter, they got some pressure. Second and third quarters for the Bengals defense was a lot better than their first and their fourth quarter. The wide zone was not working for the Rams, and I'm sure I'll bring that up again. But when you watch, the Rams were really getting to the gap. They were starting head up. They were keeping control of the Rams offensive line when they were trying to run their wide zone. And the running back for the Rams, I thought, did a good job of staying on his track, because wide zone, football coach I listen, no, they aim for the outside of the tackle, or called ghost tight end, or where their tight end is. And they have to make that decision. They keep going out or cut it back. And I thought the Bengals did a good job of, the linebackers did a good job of scraping into the gap. And then the defensive ends were doing a good job. And then people were coming up making the tackle. And then what you started to see when the Rams were still trying to dump it off to the running back, what you saw was their corners and safeties were really coming up, breaking down really well, and tackling. And then you were seeing tackles for loss because the Rams, they were trying the Rams on wide zone solo block, which is tough on wide zone. You want to try to get to a double team, or if no one's there, you could try to cut off a linebacker. They were making them solo block a lot, the way they were moving, the way they were lined up, and they were able to shoot the gap and make the tackle. So that second and third quarter, Bengals did a very good job with that because the Rams are predicated on trying to run the ball. McVeigh wants to run the ball and set up play action, set up deeper throws off the play action. And then just maybe he's going to break a run, and then you have to play it a little different. Oh my gosh, how we give up the back. And so I thought they just did a good job with that. And then when OBJ went down, they were able to really clamp down, especially on the running back, swinging them out. That's what really kind of helped them. And I'll talk about the Rams offense later, about why OBJ, just because he was out doesn't mean you give up on some of your stuff. But then they could just focus on Cup a little bit. So I thought they did a good job. I thought overall, when you hold them to 23 points. Now, the only time they did not play well, again, first and fourth quarter, because the fourth quarter on that drive, well, they started to let Cup get some catches. And then on that last drive that they had for the Rams to march down and try to score to get to their 23, it was 20-16. The Bengals defense just started to get a little bit worn down because when your offense is not scoring as much, even though they scored 20, but there was a lot of punts. You're going to get tired because you're spending all your energy on the wide zone to make sure they don't get that going. But then Matthew Stafford can make throws. And they were just getting pressure on him until they didn't. And then once they didn't, he's able to pick apart everything because he's good. I mean, he was good when he was with Detroit. So don't think, yeah, he's got a little better players around him now, a little bit, but he still is playing good. Maybe not quite top tier like he did a couple years ago. He's been in the league for a while, but he has a better play call around him. He's got better players around him. And so he's still able to play. It's still Matthew Stafford, so he was able to make throws. And once he starts getting into a rhythm, it's hard. So then the Bengals did try to come back with pressure, but by then it's too late. He's able to read the defense quicker. When you allow a quarterback to get into a zone, then he starts reading defenses. I always talk about confidence and mainly basketball. When a confident basketball player, the basket is bigger. It's like, it's like shooting the basketball into a big laundry basket. Like it's just going to go in, or shoot into a pool. Like it's literally going to go in when a team gets confident. And so when a quarterback gets confident, then they're making plays. All of a sudden the linemen start getting confident. All of a sudden the receivers start getting confident. It's just what happens. And it's okay. I mean, it's okay. But then as a defense, you go, oh man, now we got to start getting pressure again. Well, by then he's reading the defense too quick. Receivers are reading the defense quicker and things just seem to get open. And so first quarter, they struggled giving up big plays. And then the fourth quarter, that final drive, they allowed Cup to catch it seemed like 6 passes and then get a touchdown. Like, just seemed like they allowed him to get open. They were picking apart the zone. They should have doubled him, but then the Rams just have weapons. Even if they double him, there's someone else open. So that would be the only complaint, is that when they stopped getting pressure, they just allowed Cooper Kupp to get open. But sometimes you don't blame the player. Sometimes you just go up against a player like that, it's going to get open. So no real complaining with the Bengals defense. They played very, very tough. And we'll get to the refs later, but I thought that final drive, they did what they could. They just let Kupp get open. But I mean, the pass interference was BS. And then just these flags started flying all over the place. And I'll talk about the refs at the end of this. But I thought it was good defense. I didn't think it was pass interference. I thought there was a false start at the same time. The Rams tackle took off before the ball snapped. That happens a couple of times in the NFL and they never get called. So the refs got to do a better job there. Bengals offense had really good moments. Again, first quarter, okay. And then second quarter was really good or better. And then the third quarter was really good. They scored 3 in the first, second, and the 7 in the second, 10 in the third, and then they didn't score in the fourth. So, I mean, you're in a good spot there. Joe Burrow said he wished he would have played better. I mean, he didn't play bad. If you look at the numbers, he was 23 of 33, 263 yards and a touchdown. I just think he wants some throws back. There was throws there, especially in the fourth quarter. He underthrew like a longer curl route. And I think there was another one he overthrew a guy. And so there was just a couple throws he wanted back. And going back to the Bengals defense, because I totally forgot. I mean, they forced 2 interceptions from Matt Stafford in that third quarter. It just looked like the Bengals were about to take over. Like they were about to put the nail in the coffin because he had thrown an interception earlier, and then the Bengals, I think, scored, and then the Rams come back out, throw an interception, so they're right for the pick and to come down and score again. But then the Rams defense did step up. So whenever it just seemed like the Bengals were just about to just take off, the Rams would step up and do something. So that it's a special team, or was a special team. So it just more. I'll talk about the Rams then, but it just seemed like that. So the Bengals offense, I thought they had good moments. The third quarter was really the best. And that second quarter, they started to Joe Burrow started to hit some passes there, and they got the touchdown pass. But then in the third quarter, what I really liked was, so with the Rams defense, with that defensive line and the safeties, you just got to pick. So when you're pass protecting, you've got Aaron Donald coming at you. You've got these big defensive line coming through. You got Von Miller coming after you. But then when you run the ball, it's the same thing. Like, oh my God, there's these big guys. How do we move them? And they were passing a lot in that first quarter, a little bit in the second quarter. In that third quarter, they said, okay, we've got to get this run game going because we got to get them to suck up. Maybe we can beat Jalen Ramsey one-on-one, which that was a missed flag too, I guess. But it wasn't like he did it on purpose. It was just, missed when he pulled on the face mask. But we got to be able to get thrown over the top. It will help help Burrow out because then they're going to get sucked in. And maybe we can swing it out to the running backs because you saw a couple of times they motion a running back out and they're trying to read the backer to maybe throw it to the backside. And then there was one where they motion out and they hand the ball up because the linebacker went out. So they try to get the run game going. You saw a couple more tight ends in there to add a couple of gaps in the run game. You saw a couple extra linemen. You called the barge from Illinois when they called it that this year. So you saw some of that, and I liked it. And so where the Bengals were having success were when they were under center with more linemen and tight ends and empty, believe it or not. Empty, he had to get rid of the ball quick, but they were finding stuff. So that opened up a lot. So in that third quarter, we saw all that stuff. They did get some big run plays going in the third quarter. Joe Burrow was hitting the short pass game, and they were taking a little bit of time off the clock. Now, the only problem was, they scored their 10, but then they were having a hard time in the fourth quarter getting back to the end zone. The Rams defense finally kind of stepped up and said, screw this. And that offensive line just got worn down. I was impressed. That first quarter you saw was a little bit rough. Second quarter, they started to play a lot better. In the third quarter, they were playing really, good for them. You know what I mean? Like, I think Joe Burrow sacked 51 times this year or something like that, and they gave up a ton of sacks last night. But in that fourth quarter, literally in shotgun, Joe Burrow would get the snap, and within a second or two, literally 1.5 to 2 seconds, he was getting swarmed because they were bringing pressure. Sometimes they brought fives. You got hat on a hat, and they'd still get them. And I know one of them's Aaron Donald, and you want to double team him, but they bring 5-on-5. Now, does Burrow need to get rid of the ball? People are saying, get rid of the ball quicker. Yes. Did the guy get time in 1.5 seconds to automatically know to turn the ball and throw? And the times that he would do that, the guy's getting tackled at the line of scrimmage. He's trying to get at least 2 to 5 yards here, guys. So this whole he's got to throw it quicker, not going to happen when you're getting pressured in 1.5 to 2 seconds. It ain't going to happen. So the O-line played well, and they just got worn down. To try to block that big defensive line for the Rams, which isn't fair, over and over and over and over again, and the amount of passes they just got tired. They got worn down. Like, some of these linemen are second stringers. Some of these linemen don't start on another team. And, take it from me, watching the Bears offensive line, I don't think they're that bad. But again, they made it to the Super Bowl. So what does that tell you? But I didn't think our offensive line was that bad. But take it from me, from a Bears fan, watching bad offensive line play for the last couple of years. Take it from me that the Bengals need to address that. And I hope, Ryan Poles and Bears, you're watching that going, an offensive line probably would have helped Joe Burrow out, and maybe they could have won the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that's the only thing. There was plays not made. But as Bears fans and the Bears organization, they better be looking at going, if we want to get to the Super Bowl, we better be getting some linemen. Better get some linemen. But they got worn down during the defensive line. They gave up a shit ton of sacks, plays there about 2 seconds. And then the comeback when the Rams came down and scored, the Bengals were moving the ball a little bit, but then they gave up big sacks. The 3rd and 1 or the 3rd and 2 play call, and they decided to run the ball from shotgun. I didn't quite understand that. Now, again, it's easy. Hindsight's 20/20. It's easy for me to sit here and say that because I'm not the one coaching. I'm not the one game playing. I'm not the one out there. But that play call was a little suspect. And then I think it was 3rd and 1 after that, maybe 4th and 1, 4th and 2. A lot of people said probably should have ran the ball. I thought so. I thought they should have brought another lineman and maybe 2 tight ends out there and a wide receiver, motion a guy or try to do what they did, bring a guy in motion to fake the jet sweep. But they drop back, try to throw it. It hits off the guy's hands. Could have been caught. But just came up. But what starts to happen is, I don't care how cool Joe Burrow is, and Joe Burrow is as cool as the other side of the pillow, as cool as a cucumber. And he's gotten hit a lot, so he's used to it. But in the Super Bowl, second-year NFL quarterback, you're getting hit within 1.5 seconds. That's what you start to look at. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're Tom Brady. I don't care if you're Brett Favre. I don't care if you're Aaron Rodgers. In the back of your mind somewhere. Now, maybe if he was a 10-year vet, and this has been a couple Super Bowls, maybe Tom Brady's not quite thinking that. He knows exactly everything. But being a second-year quarterback, actually a year and a half quarterback because he missed a lot of last year. You're getting hit within 0.1 second to 2 seconds, somewhere in that time. You're thinking about, so he's turning, wants to get rid of it really quick. And the Rams are quick enough on defense to come up and make a play. And even when he got rid of it quick, there's already a guy in his face because, the linemen looked like they were on skates or they had butter on their feet because they're going all the way backwards. So makes that, drops it. And, I'm not blaming the line, but that's a struggle right there. And they have to address it, but comes up short. On the Rams side, we've already talked about a little about the Rams in that, but we're going to talk about it here a little bit. The Rams offense, I thought looked good at the beginning. And then, like I said, then the Bengals really started to take the run game away from them. And I just felt like sometimes the Rams were forcing the run game, but McVeigh is predicated on running the football. He believes that opens up a lot of things. Big zone guy, inside zone, wide zone. Bengals and the Rams kind of ran a little bit of duo. Some of the big run plays Bengals had was duo, and I know it looks like inside zone, but you saw how the double teams work in the angle. It was duo, and I thought it was duo, and I went to tweet it, and I saw someone else say it was duo, and I was like, oh, thank God, I thought it was duo. I'm not as big of an idiot as I thought. So I thought they looked good, but then where they struggled was they were really trying to force that run game like crazy. If you can't force the run game, then you should start passing it. But where it kind of went down for them was when OBJ hurt his knee and went down, they were trying to have other guys step up. And so my thought was really like, you have Cooper Kupp, but they're going to focus on him, but then that opens up other people. Now, there was a couple drops here and there, and I know they were saying on the announcers were saying that, there was a drop in Matthew Stafford. They said, Matthew Stafford lost faith in him. I love when they say that or trust. Maybe throughout the year, if they keep dropping balls, you do that, but I don't think that one drop is going to be like, I don't trust that guy no more. Especially in the Super Bowl, like, no, I have to throw and we have to make plays. We have to step up. So I don't believe that he lost faith or anything. But I was a little confused on some of McVay's play calling. And when I say confused, just like, well, I would just do this, not saying his play call was wrong because that guy is 36 years old, won a Super Bowl. Like, he knows way more football. He has forgotten more football than I will. And he's only 5 years older than me. Like, he knows so much football. He probably knows more football than some of the 40, 50-year-olds. The only thing a 40, 50-year-old NFL vet would have is just different situations on him. But they were really trying to force that wide zone, and it wasn't working. The Bengals were making great tackles, and and the offensive line struggled for a little bit there. Matthew Stafford was getting pressured, and he was getting hit. And that one where his ankle went all the way, it's not good. But he was getting pressured. So that offensive line. So this was just a tale. Like, both teams had their moments where one quarter, one team, it flip-flopped. First quarter, the Rams played well. Second quarter, the Bengals played well. And then the Bengals played well the third quarter. And then it just happened the Rams played better in the fourth. Now, if it would have flip-flopped like in order, the Bengals should have played better in the fourth. But that's just what it is. It just kept flip-flopping. And then Kupp became alive and had like 6 catches on that final drive to come down and get the touchdown. And, the stats for the Rams, Matthew Stafford, he had the 2 interceptions, which, again, it was credit to the Rams. That was a moment where the Bengals could have just taken off and just slammed this game down. But they didn't. They never folded. He had 283 yards on 40 passes, completed 26 of them, and he had the 2 touchdowns. But Kupp, he had 8 receptions, 92 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So he really became alive, really helped them out. On offense, speaking offensive-wise right now, and they just could not stop him in that final drive. And that final drive was like watching the Buccaneers game all over again because they couldn't either. They couldn't stop him either. There's just something about Matthew Stafford in these fourth quarter comeback wins, and he did a couple of them in Detroit where he just comes out and makes good throws, plays well. And like I said, when he gets confident, and then their defense held up, giving up some of those plays, and the amount of pressure they got, I can't say that enough. That defense is not fair. The defensive line is not fair. They really battled with that O-line, then finally just kind of take over from the Bengals. They wore them out very quickly. They were able to get pressure very quickly. In that final drive, they were blitzing. They were, pushing that line around, and they were like, not today, Junior. That's what they told them. They were not going to lose that game. So then the Rams pulled it out for that 23-20 win. The Bengals just had to get a field goal to tie. I was sitting there going, we're going to overtime. The way the season has gone and the overtimes in the playoffs you already had, we're going to overtime. That's what I thought. I thought they could get down there. The kicker for the Bengals is cooler than everything. He sat and watched the halftime show. So I really thought we were going to overtime, but then the Rams got it, and the Rams won the Super Bowl. Before we talk more about the Super Bowl, football coaches, during the seasons, do your defensive line and offensive line, they take a lot of hits, right? Because they hit every single play. Well, that's why it's the best, because we're the best. We're the best looking. We're the most athletic. I don't care what people say, we're most athletic. And we hit every single play. Every single play. But that's a lot of hits. That's a lot of scuff marks on the helmet. That's a lot of times the guys are hitting. There's a way to protect those helmets and protect the shells or protect the craniums of those guys. And it's Guardian caps. If you go to guardiansports.com/guardian-caps, you can check out that goes, it's literally padding and absorbs the hit. It goes over the helmet. It absorbs 20 to 33% of the impact, which is huge. It's worn by over 5 NFL teams and 200 plus colleges like Oklahoma, Penn State, Georgia, and Alabama. So if it's good enough for them, it's good enough for you. Especially, it's definitely good enough for me. So if you go to guardiansports.com/guardian-caps, use the code 15OFF, OFF, it will save you 15% off your order, whether you're buying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 200. It's going to save you money. And we're about saving money. So if you've got it in your budget, your football budget, you've got it in your fundraising, if you think families want to buy them, help them out. Guardiansports.com/guardian-caps. Use the code 15OFF15, the number 15, OFF, and save 15% off your order. Go do that for me. Let them know I sent you. Thank you, Guardian Caps, Guardian Sports, for sponsoring the podcast. Football coaches, while I still have your ear, you've got to develop your kicker. Kickers are important for field goals and especially kickoffs because field position means everything. So if you want your kicker to start kicking the ball deeper, if you want him to get into the end zone for touchbacks, if you're in situations where you need an onside kick, believe it or not, it does take practice with a kicker, but you know what's going to help him out? It's probably your kickoff tee, believe it or not. Not the old school orange ones that stick straight up in the ball, can only be at a certain spot. No, it's probably your tee. And I've got the tee for you. If you go to launchpadkickoff.com, check out their tee. Now, mine is at practice. Mine's at school right now. It's in our special teams bag. But it's this creative like rubber and these flaps. You can place the ball however you want. There's a strategic way to place the ball to kick it farther for squib kicks and onside kicks, different ones. You never knew that, did you? When you order it, it will literally come with a piece of paper like a manual, and it will tell you how to put the football for the sweet spot for whatever you want to do. So then your kicker can practice that. Tuesday you want him to do specific onside kicks. That's what he's doing. Wednesday you want to do deep kicks to certain spots. You don't even have to move the tee. However you want to place the football for it, that's how it's there for. So there's just a strategic way to do it. It's the best kicking tee in the game. It is able to be used at the high school level. So go do that. Go to launchpadkickoff.com/CSS, and at checkout, use the code CSS, and you will get 10% off your order. But then when you buy 2, you're going to get even more. You're going to get about 20% off. Then the next one, there's a 4-pack. Well, when you do that 4-pack, they're going to drop the price of the third one. So you're literally buying 3 and getting the 4th one free. So launchpadkickoff.com/CSS and use the code CSS at checkout. You're going to save 10, 20%, or buy 3, get 1 free. It's just there to save you money. So again, launchpadkickoff.com/CSS. Use the code CSS to save you money. I'm about saving you money. Got to save the money. Unless you won money in the Super Bowl, then you don't. Then you go buy more kickoff tees. You won money in the Super Bowl. Got to get that money. All right. So again, Rams on the Super Bowl. Real quick, did you guys know that there's refs in a football game? It's crazy, right? Did you know that there's refs in an NFL game? You didn't know that? They wanted to know. They wanted you to know they were there. There was no really penalties. There was a couple, like a delay a game and this and that, but it was a real clean game. You didn't see a lot of any holding calls. You didn't see this or that. Now they missed the one on Chandler Ramsey. The guy reached around and grabbed his face. I think that guy was just trying to get around. And sometimes just naturally, like as soon as your fingers feel something, you're going to grab it like a baby. You know, they feel with their fingers. I think that's what kind of happened. I don't think he really did it on purpose to be like, whew, I'm going to pull you and do this. I don't believe he did anything like that. But then in that final drive, all of a sudden the refs were like, hey, wave. We're here. We know you're there. Because you were calling a good game until that freaking pass interference on the Bengals. That was not. Even Chris Collinsworth, who people call out, he was like, I don't see that as a pass interference. That's a no call. Leave it alone. There was worse ones earlier in the game. So this is the thing. And I'm speaking from experience. I don't mind quote unquote bad reffing if I disagree with a call. But the thing is, if you're doing it to the other team when the exact same thing happens and they call it that way too, or don't call it that way, I accept it. I go, okay, this is your interpretation of the rule. This is your interpretation of whatever. This is how you're going to call it. That's what we're going with. And I'm all for it. I will not yell at the ref. I will not question it. As long as they're doing it the other way, especially in basketball. Basketball's huge, but football, exactly the same too. But by God almighty, like that was not pass interference. All of a sudden, it's just pass interference, hold on the defense, this and that. And it was like, okay, it's like they had a quota and they said we have to get them. Now, were some of those the right calls later on? A little bit, but still, like, again, it's those type of things were happening earlier in the game. If you call those early in the game, then the teams know, oh, okay, we know how they're going to call this game. So now we can adjust how we play. You do that in basketball, you do that in football. I mean, and baseball, pitching, you know a strike zone, but then when you're throwing the pitch and you start to realize maybe the strike zone is a little bit bigger, so now I can flirt with it outside more than what I do. Oh, he's calling it tighter, so I got to throw it tighter. You adjust to what's going on there because everybody has a different interpretation. They could have the rule right there. Some things cannot be interpreted one way or interpreted some way, but then others will. You know, some do. So you're able to do that. So the refs had to make sure we knew we were there. It's been a problem the whole year. Now we have a ref shortage, so we have to be careful, guys. We have a ref shortage. NFL, you're not going to find new ones. College, you ain't going to really find good ones because in high school they're getting out to getting paid $50 to be yelled at by me, which I haven't yelled at a ref in years because I quickly realized, well, not quickly, it took me some years. My God, the refs have a horrible job. They're a thankless job. The fans yell at them. The parents yell at them, which is horrible. So people like me back in the day when I was younger, like yelling at them for $50 or $70, this ain't worth it to them after a while. So they have a ref shortage. We have to deal with it, but it was just a pain that the type of stuff was happening. And then they decided to call those type of things down there later on. It was just call it the whole game, then or call it the beginning, and then they can figure it out. So did not like the ref thing. Wouldn't get that off my chest. Hope you guys are okay. I got that off my chest. Then after the Super Bowl, there was a rumor before the Super Bowl that Aaron Donald might call it a career if they won the Super Bowl. And ask him about it. He was just a loss for words that they won the Super Bowl. I kind of don't like that immediately after the game that reporters of the Super Bowl, like normal games, yeah, but the Super Bowl is like immediate. They grab them and they're like, we got to ask them a question. Can't you just let them celebrate for 15 minutes and then you ask them after? I don't understand that part. But they're asking him and he just doesn't. And then to ask him, like, it's one thing to ask about, you've always wanted a Super Bowl. This is what's been like, this is adding on to your amazing career. What words do you have? And sometimes I'm going to say they don't have words. Sometimes they're very poised at the moment. But he was very emotional because they won the Super Bowl. It was an emotional game because the defense had to get a big stop. And then they go, well, it's rumored you were going to retire. What do you think? Yeah, he's going to retire right then and there. No, he's going to enjoy the Super Bowl with his teammates, his coaches. He's going to go find his family and enjoy it with them. He'll talk to you tomorrow or the next day when the hangover is gone. So I hate that. but it's rumored he's going to retire. He is in his 30s. He's been in the league, I think, since 2014. So he's been there a little bit of time. And I know some people are like, well, he's still young. He's still playing at a high level. It's okay if he retires. One, you're retiring with money. You're retiring a Super Bowl champion. You've been Defensive Player of the Year. You tackled a bunch of times. You've had a bunch of sacks. And at the same time, if he feels like he wants to retire and go do something else, he can. And I always will go back to Pat McAfee. He retired very, very early. And I remember when people were saying, oh my God, someone have an intervention with him. He shouldn't retire. If he is not having fun anymore, wants to go do something else, let him retire. And look what Pat McAfee's doing now. He's doing something he loves. They just got paid. So he's doing things that he wants to do. So the people that are saying Aaron Donald shouldn't because of how young he is or whatever, well, what else he's going to accomplish? He's got Defensive Player of the Year. He's had a ton of sacks. He won a Super Bowl now. If he feels like he wants to go do something else, let the guy go do something else. Like, just let him go do something else, please. Don't say that he needs to stay at all. Please and thank you. So if he does retire, we just witnessed one of the greatest defensive linemen of all time, and this is nothing but respect. This is not a bad thing I'm about to say. A freak. Like, he looks like he could be a power lifter with like Brian Shaw and Eddie Hall and, and Thor. And, he looks like he could do that. Or if he started working out and doing all that, he could probably be a bodybuilder. That's what it looks like. So if he wants to go do something like that, let him go do it. He's accomplished what he wants to. If he feels like he's done, he's done. So, but we've just witnessed if he is done, which I don't know if he is or not, one of the greatest defensive linemen that we've seen. He's 36 years old. I believe he's 36. I think he's the same age as McVeigh. Ton of stuff. He's pretty young, but other things to do. Just let him go. And then for some reason, I didn't know anything about it to the Super Bowl. Something about McVeigh retiring at the age of 36. And then they asked him afterwards, they're talking to him after they've been around the team and everything. And they asked him, they were like, so, Sean McVeigh, 36 years old, Super Bowl champ, head coach of the Rams. Are you going to retire? And he goes, no. And he goes, just proud of the team. I can't wait to celebrate. And he goes, and I won't remember any of it tonight. So they're going to be hungover for 2 days. But he said no. Like he's just like, no. But then somebody like, well, he brushed. See, this is what reporters do sometimes. There's a lot of reporters out there that are very respectable, like Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport, Aaron Andrews, those type of people are very good at their job. But then when they were like, when he said no, they're like, oh, he brushed off the question. What do you mean he brushed off the question? He just said no. And he's talking about, again, he's worried about being with his family. He's worried about being with his teammates because they won the Super Bowl. God, some of the media stuff, sometimes in sports, especially politics, like it just gives you a headache. One, I didn't know that it was brought up for him to retire. Number two, why would he retire? Now, again, we're not in his mind, but I mean, he's 36 years old. Ton of football left. He can't be burnt out yet, right? Maybe he is. Maybe that's how he got the job. He just did the amount of work and amount of studying like a 40, 50-year-old veteran has. I have no idea. I see Aaron Donald retiring over Sean McVeigh. He's got a good thing going. He's made the playoffs, I believe, 5 out of the 6 years he's been there, won a Super Bowl, been to another Super Bowl, and had lost a very close one, a defensive battle against the Patriots a couple years ago. I don't see him retiring. He's a great coach, great offensive mind, great coach. He connects with the players. I think because of how young he is, because some people flirted with that line of you have to be older to connect with these players and do things. But he was 30 years old, probably talking to 34-year-olds, 35-year-olds. Hell, their left tackle, right tackle was 40 years old. So able to talk to people like that and figure it out. Pretty good coach, in my opinion. If he does get fired, though, there's a place in Chicago that might be getting a new place in Arlington that maybe he could go to. Oh, I guess I'll give Eberflus a chance. I'm interested to see how the Rams are going to look next year because, what's next? Well, we'll see what they're made of. They got rid of all their draft picks for the next 10 years. So, I mean, we'll see what they look like. You're going to have a couple people maybe retire. You're going to have to fill on some pieces. Are you going to bring back OBJ? You're going to pay him a Bitcoin again? Are you going to have Matthew Stafford still? Are you going to have Cooper Kupp? He's going to have to get paid. So just some decision makings. But if they can keep the initial core of that team together, they should be able to make a run. And I'm interested to see because if they bring everyone back, maybe not everybody, but most of them, with Tom Brady probably being retired out of the NFC. Jimmy G's on the move from San Francisco. Russell Wilson may be on the move. He might go to the AFC or go to some other team on the complete other side of the NFC for them and the Rams. Rodgers' future up in question. Is he going to still be at Green Bay? Is he going to go to the Steelers? Is he moving to another NFC team? Because we just don't really know right now. Who's really going to go against the Rams? Is it going to be the Arizona Cardinals? Does Russell Wilson stay at the Seahawks and it becomes them? Who knows? So, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see about the NFC. Rodgers, if he stays with the Packers and they can figure it out. The Falcons are nothing. I'm trying to think of teams in the NFC. There, nobody in the NFC North really besides the Packers. If Rodgers there, St. Louis or New Orleans, the Saints are in disarray. So, I mean, just trying to think of NFC teams that who's really going to go after the Rams if they can bring back their core. So we'll see on that side. The Bengals, they're going to have a tougher go at it than I think the Rams for as of this point in time until we see where people land and all that stuff. Because they're going to have the Chiefs, they've got the Bills. If the Ravens get healthy, the Ravens are going to be tough. And then what if Rodgers goes to the Steelers? So you have some teams there in the AFC that are going to cause problems. Patriots are going to get better. So, I mean, you got teams in the AFC that are going to cause some problems. So the Bengals are going to have a tougher go. But if they got to address that offensive line, they've got to get some offensive linemen. Every single draft pick of theirs from here on out, if they can keep the rest of their team, needs to be offensive linemen, or go out and find some veteran offensive linemen that can play and bring them in there. Because if they bring in offensive line and they get a better consistent run game, their wide receiver core stays healthy and their defense continues to get better, they'll be there. I'm not saying to the Super Bowl, but they're going to be in the playoffs and they will do something special. And Joe Burrow, if he takes that next step, because he took a step for being injured, because he looked okay last year and he got injured. Then he was a little shaky, but then he took that next step to get better. If he takes that next step, because next year will be pretty much a sophomore slump. This year was supposed to be that, next year is supposed to be a quote unquote sophomore slump. If he could overcome that and step forward, I think he'll be okay. So they're going to have a much tougher go, but that's what's next with the Bengals. But to wrap it up, I mean, the Rams did what they set out to do when they traded every single draft pick for like the next 10 years. They got Stafford, they got OBJ, they got a tons of other pieces around. Cooper Kupp was a MVP finalist. Had a fantastic Super Bowl. McVay's only age 36, gets a Super Bowl. Going to be out partying. I'm sure they're still partying as we speak. Stafford beat the Lions curse. He won a Super Bowl for himself and the Detroit Lion fans. So congratulations to Matthew Stafford. I wanted the Bengals to win because I feel like my neighbor, shout out to my old neighbor that lived across Jim. He said he just felt like the Rams almost bought their Super Bowl because it's like a Yankee thing where you're just getting all these guys, you're paying a lot of money and it sucks. And I kind of agreed with him, but I wanted Matthew Stafford. If the Bengals were going to lose, it would be to Matthew Stafford or Jimmy G. So congratulations, Stafford. He won a Super Bowl. The Bengals defied all odds, made it to the biggest stage. Because it's the Bengals. They're not supposed to even get to the playoffs. So they just were playing with house money. They've really stepped up with a young coach themselves and did pretty well. If they address an offensive line, they're going to be very deadly. Joe Burrow, if he continues to play well, he's not going anywhere. So fun times ahead in the NFL with quarterbacks. Super Bowl's done. Now we got to wait. But guess what? We got the USFL coming for spring football. So there'll be some football to hold us over until we get to college. We'll have some spring games coming up in college. And then we got to hold off to NFL getting later on down the road. But that wraps up this episode. Thanks for anybody that watched or listened. Again, like and subscribe, rate, review, be a friend, tell a friend, all that good stuff. Check out all the affiliates in the description below. Leave a comment in the comment section. Follow on the Twitter at Coach_Steve72. The Facebook page is a Coach Steve Show. Go do all that for me. It's all in the description, in the link tree. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening. Hope you enjoyed the Super Bowl. And until next time, this is Coach Steve, and we are out of here.